up, everybody? This is Mr. Second Passport. Today I'm going to cover how I was able to more or less retire in my 30s, in large part by moving to Ecuador. Basically, I got retired. Not that I was looking to retire in my 30s, but I got retired by the pandemic. I had kind of a thriving business, a small hotel business in the Quito area. And then when the pandemic hit, my business mainly relied on international travelers, it got completely smashed. And it still has yet to fully recover for sure. So, like most of us, I'm not really looking to retire now and just sit around and do nothing, but I now have time to just kind of change activities and do what I want to do, like this channel, for instance, right? Like a YouTube channel. So it's just a different mindset, right? The whole FIRE movement, retire early, financial independence, retire early. It sounds all nice and dandy, and I'm going to show you how you can speed up your process of retiring by maybe go through the back door to an early retirement by possibly moving to Ecuador. You need to lower your costs, which moving to Ecuador will do if you want to retire early, and increase the passive income that you get from your savings at the same time, and then you don't need that much savings in order to retire early. I'm going to show you how to do both of those quite easily here in Ecuador. Here is a breakdown of my dear mother's current living costs, right? Who has about a $3,000 a month pension living in the U.S., in Bozeman, Montana at the current time, right? And and here are my costs living here in Ecuador, right? So these are her biggest monthly costs. And she said on a $3,000 a month pension, she cannot get by without digging a little bit into her savings every month, which is pretty crazy based on what you can do down here in Ecuador, right? And how long would you have to work to get a $3,000 a month pension in the U.S.? In my mom's case, it was about 30 years or so as a teacher, right? So assuming you're like me and have no pension, then how can you retire early, maybe even as early as in your 30s or earlier, whatever, if that's what you want to do? So, I mean, her biggest expenses by far are the home insurance. She owns her home outright. So this, even in the $3,000 a month pension, she has no rent in the U.S. and no house payment. Imagine that. If she had that, then this number would easily be up over $4,000 a month. I can imagine, right, in the U.S. right now. And it's not like she's a big spender. She has a few friends. She goes out for coffee every now and then. She goes to church twice a week. I mean, that's about it. I mean, she's retired, 70 plus. And but she does have to pay the home insurance, which on her house is $2,000. And over there in Montana where she's living, the real estate taxes are $5,000 a year, right? So this number down here is those numbers broken down into a monthly figure. The car insurance she pays. Now between her and my father, her husband, they have 4 different cars that they pay about $2,000 a year on. But she said costs are going up for maintenance, which are not contabulated here. And she said she just had an oil change in Bozeman and it cost her $200. Now she needed a new air filter. I guess she said that cost $80. Bought air filters and oil changes down here in Ecuador. It's like $10, like something you don't even think about paying for. Now the electricity and gas. Now the numbers here, on the right-hand column are my costs here in Ecuador for the same things. I don't have any insurances except for health insurance down here. And the real estate taxes, I currently only own one property in Ecuador, and the real estate tax, it's almost a moot point. It's like $85 for a condo I own in Guayaquil. And so I've just left that as zero basically for the year. These are by the month, by the month figures, as well as these. Now the electricity and gas, she said she pays around $100 a month for electricity and about $250 a month for gas. Montana's kind of a colder place. There is no gas bills in Ecuador. You just buy those tanks when needed, but that's subsidized, so it's almost a moot point down here. And electricity, I pay about $25 a month for the 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo I rent in Quito at the moment. Now, $75 of gas, she said, in about every week, right? So if you add that up for a monthly cost, what is that? $300 a month. And my gas cost is zero, as well as these other car insurance payments, because I have no car at the moment. I haven't had a car for about a year now here in Ecuador, just because you don't really need one. I mean, unless you have a job that kind of requires one. I mean, taxis, Ubers now, buses, all super cheap and plentiful. What do you really need a car for? But I will probably be getting a car shortly. She says she pays about $1,000 a month in food. She goes out to eat occasionally with friends. They're not very thrifty when it comes to food. They like to eat what they like to eat, and they buy steaks and stuff there, which are really good in Montana. And I figure I pay about $500 a month here for food. I also eat out quite a bit, but kind of the cheaper stuff. I usually spend less than $5 when I eat out. Now, this is a huge expense that surprised me that she had. She said she pays about $600 a month for the family Verizon bill, right, which I'm not on because I don't live there, obviously. I have 2 brothers that she does pay for, as well as her and her husband, and including the internet and Verizon cell phone bills pays about $600 a month, whereas here I pay about $25 a month for internet and about $25 or so for my cell phone bill. So we'll just call it with taxes $60 a month. She says she pays medical. She has a private medical plan insurance for $133 a month, and she has a Medicare as well for $125 a month, and as well as prescriptions and things that she needs because she's had some health problems. She pays about $100 a month as well, right? It's about $350 a month. I pay $35 a month for my private health plan here in Ecuador that I've mentioned in other videos, and I'll put a link to the one where I mention it in the description below. Now, I have some costs that she doesn't. Rent, $500, and water. She has a well where she lives in Montana at her house, so she pays zero water. But I guess it does raise the electricity bill a little to pump. And I pay about $10 a month in water here where I live in Ecuador. So, so we contabulated, if that's a word, that she spends about $3,000 to $3,500 a month on just the basics. This is not including any miscellaneous or frivolous things that you spend throughout the month on stuff that's not in here, right? And I spend about, on the basics, about $1,200 a month, almost, on the basics down here in Ecuador. Now, the second point to being able to retire early is being able to get more income off your savings, right? And in order to cover your living expenses, so in order to cover $1,200 a month, down here in Ecuador, because you can put money in the bank in a CD for a year and get 9% interest in a lot of different places. Making 9% on your money, you only need $150,000 saved in order to cover this $1,200 a month. Right? It's another great way to retire early. Now, if you were in the U.S. making, say, the 4% rule, like I know you could put your money in the stock market and you'd get that 7 to 10% historical return annual, right? And just like an S&P 500 ETF index fund, that's fine. But if you go by the 4% rule, which is quite generous if you're in the U.S., you would need, in order to cover just this $1,200 a month, you'd need $320,000 or so, right? Just making 4% on your money. So that gives you an idea of how much you can accelerate being able to be done working for money when you move to a place like, say, Ecuador, that values your savings and pays you more on it, and as well lowers your cost of living tremendously. Moving to Ecuador or any really foreign country with lower costs of living can greatly reduce your time needed to retirement per se. And if you like this, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the like button below and ring that bell next to the subscribe button in order to be notified of more videos just like this. Take care.